I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to these
I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me.
They
I
smashed
told them
you.
to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's
They
amazing.
don't.
Well,
Look,
somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
in this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They went all in with the Sauce Gardner trade, right? All in. Give you a couple of number one picks here. Then Daniel Jones breaks the leg. And then he tears the Achilles. All right? You're signing Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? I mean, by the way, you know what hasn't been talked about enough? Sam Ellinger decided he didn't want to come play for the Colts. Why? You would have been. I know Denver activated him to the roster anyway, but he would have been maybe a starting quarterback this weekend.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. It is Friday. It's time for the college football playoffs to begin. Tonight, we've got a marquee matchup we will preview with Bill Bender of Sporting News. We'll also get into the latest in sports wagering and the saga with prediction markets rolling on. Sam McQuillan will join us from Legal Sports Report. Also, the latest in the NBA and, of course, some college football, a pretty big signing in Major League Baseball's hot stove as well. It's a Friday, so that means we're getting you ready for another football weekend with some NFL previews as well. And wow, what a game last night. Maybe the best game of the year on Thursday Night Football between the Rams and the Seahawks. But let's get started here with the big story of the day, coming courtesy of DraftKings, who are officially jumping into the prediction market. Rumor no longer. They launched prediction market services in 38 different states. The DraftKings predictions site is now available as a standalone app, and event contracts are available in states where sports betting is not legal. So that means California, Georgia, Texas, several other states. For those of you who can't bet on sports, you can use prediction markets. Again, these are not regulated here state by state, and we still have to wait to see what the future holds with prediction markets in general. Meanwhile, we don't have to wait any longer, as a very big error by DraftKings that was posted during the American League Championship Series was said to be something that perhaps DraftKings could get their money back for. But the Massachusetts Gaming Commission says, no way. You guys made a mistake. You got to pay out these people. They denied a request from DraftKings to void 27 parlay wagers from a single patron for a total stake of $12,950. It was on a player named Nathan Lukes, who had at least 8 total hits in the American League Championship Series. During an error on the DraftKings trading site, the user bet the highest hit threshold for Lukes, 8 or more hits in the series, and parlayed it to another threshold that added no independent element of chance. And that's basically the cost of doing business. So essentially a mistake, made a lot of money for a patron, and he bet $12,000 and he won over $930,000, $1 million mistake made by somebody at DraftKings. More details have emerged on Brian Smith, the head coach at Ohio, his firing. The university cited romantic relationships, including one he admitted to with a student, as well as an allegation of public intoxication in a letter that stated to fire him for cause. He was put on leave on December the 1st. So now that we know the specifics, We know that Ohio not only looking for another coach, but looking to not pay their now former coach as well. Speaking of getting paid, big contract given to right-handed starter Michael King. The Padres are bringing him back on an agreement of 3 years, $75 million. He also has an opt-out after the 2026 and 2027 season. King will bolster the Padres rotation now moving forward. Great game, as I mentioned, on Thursday Night Football. Maybe the game of the year in the NFL, but definitely on Thursday night. 38-37, Seattle battles all the way back, including a controversial two-point conversion to give them the win, 38-37, and they now are in line to win the NFC West if they win out. It was an incredible performance by Puka Nacua of the Rams, who's been embattled with off-the-field stuff all week long, but it was not enough as the teams went back and forth, including a last-second play and a two-point conversion that now puts the Seahawks in the driver's seat for the division, potentially. Here's Mike McDonald, who needed a breather after the win.
Holy smokes. What a great football game. I mean, first of all, an incredibly electric atmosphere. I mean, just an all-time great atmosphere showing by our 12s. I mean, shout out to all our people for the Seahawks too. I mean, all the lights and I mean, it's just an electric atmosphere. And then, with all the adversity we're dealing with throughout the game, they didn't leave us. Not a seat was empty, given all the circumstance, and they stuck with us, and our team could feel it. And it was awesome. I mean, and just talking about our football team, just so proud of our group. I mean, this is who we are,
But those guys in the locker room deserve a win like that, and against a really, really good team. The defense that they have over there, I have a ton of respect for them, those guys over there, and obviously what Stafford has been able to do not only his whole career, but today and this season has been unbelievable. But, just very happy for our guys.
In other football headlines ahead of the games this weekend, a senior NFLPA attorney filed a federal lawsuit on Thursday alleging that the union's former executive director and 2 current executives conspired to keep her from cooperating with a criminal investigation into union finances. Her name is Heather McPhee, the NFLPA's associate general counsel since 2009, accusing top union executives and former executive director Lloyd Howell Jr. of illegal misconduct, sex discrimination, breach of fiduciary duty, and retaliation as she prepared to become the star witness in a year-long criminal inquiry. In addition, no inquiry needed for Jacoby Myers. He's been fantastic since being traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They rewarded him today with the extension he was looking for. He'll be playing in Jacksonville in the future. 3 years, $60 million for Myers, who was traded by the Raiders. The Bears will be without a couple of receivers this weekend. Rome Odunze, Luther Burden III. They have been ruled out against the Green Bay Packers. We will report back to the practice field throughout the show, tell you who's in and who's out. Luka Doncic was in a big way last night. Guess what? Triple-double for Luka. 45 points, 14 assists, 11 rebounds. LeBron James also had 28 points. The Lakers beat the Jazz in a high-scoring affair, 143-135. So, yes, that did go over the total. Lakers win for the third time in 4 games, despite allowing the most points that they have this season. Here is Luka on not just getting a triple-double, saying he should have done more in the win.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I could do some more. But I think that one turnover is the best stat-wise on this stat sheet. We had 7 turnovers, which is impressive for us. And, we won the game. In the end, that's what matters. But I think we locked in a lot in the second half. We did a great job.
They've got some special players, and their size hurt us at different moments. But, I think we don't have one person on our team who's going to put out all the fires defensively. Everybody has to take turns. And I think, our weak side defense is continuing to improve. Tonight we just had some stretches where it wasn't good enough. I think in the first half we were a little bit lazy with our hands at the point of attack. Too many reaching fouls from secondary defenders. But I thought it was a heck of a game. I'm proud of the team's effort.
Jalen Brunson hits a game-winning 3 for the Knicks. They take care of the Pacers 114-113. The Pacers cover the spread in this one. Brunson 25.7 assists and 7 rebounds. The Knicks now 19-7 on the season. Here's Mike Brown on the last-second win.
Man, our MVP, the league's MVP, Jalen Brunson, we call a timeout. We took another timeout, drew up a different play, and as Jalen's walking out on the floor, Jalen turns to me. He says, I'm getting this win. I'm going for it. And I said, you do you. That's who you are. You do you. And he went out and he came through. That's what real MVPs do, and I'm glad I'm a part of his team.
Poorer offense tonight. What did you see was some of the struggles in scoring in those moments today?
I haven't looked at the film yet, but it's a hard league. It's a hard league to score in, and it's a hard league to score in crunch time. It's like the red zone in football.
Anything more to the last play besides Pascal just tripping, slipping, whatever happened there?
We didn't execute it well enough. So, it happens. That's my responsibility. We got to execute better.
Our weekly and daily check-in on Nikola Jokic. Did you bet him to get a triple-double? If you did again last night, he did it again. 23 points, 13 assists, 11 rebounds as Denver beats Orlando 126-115. Also, Jokic passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in all-time assists. Jokic now has 5,667. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma City Thunder have never met a point spread that they can't beat. Yes, they took care of the Clippers as 17.5-point favorites last night. OKC 122, LA Clippers 101, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 32 points. The Clippers are having a really, really rough time this season, to say the least. All right, we got to take a quick time out here on NewsWire. We'll have the very latest in college football. Of course, the big games are all set to go tonight and tomorrow. We'll have more on that when we return and also catch you up with everything happening in the National Football League. So stay with us here on this Friday edition of NewsWire. We'll be right back after this.
I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
Saying
these
if I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
They told me.
They
I
smashed
told them
you.
to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's
They
amazing.
don't.
Well, somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
in this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They went all in with the Sauce Gardner trade, right? All in. Give you a couple of number one picks here. Then Daniel Jones breaks the leg, and then he tears the Achilles. All right, you're signing Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? I mean, by the way, you know what hasn't been talked about enough? Sam Ellinger decided he didn't want to come play for the Colts. Why? You would have been. I know Denver activated him to the roster anyway, but he would have been maybe the starting quarterback this weekend.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Get ready for the college football playoffs. How do we do that? We bring in Bill Bender from Sporting News to preview tonight's big game and then tomorrow's. And actually, Bill, bowl season is underway. I think, to be fair, I think that this bowl season in particular, more than any other that I can remember, really flying under the radar, unfortunately, even for these lesser games as well, because so many people are fixated on Saturdays. So I'm hopeful that the other bowl games will get some attention when these guys take the week off next week. But for now, we're going to play to that hit. Got to do it. Friday night football, Alabama and Oklahoma at Norman. The Sooners are trying to beat the Crimson Tide twice in a single season, which doesn't happen very often. The total is 40.5. Neither team playing particularly well on offense. It was Oklahoma's defense the first time that stopped Alabama. Do they have them in them a second time? I feel like, Bill, in my opinion, the coach that comes out of this is going to look real good because they're going to say that that coach either beat the same team twice or made the adjustments. And then the opposing coach, I think, is going to be a little heat after the loser is tonight. I don't know who that's going to be.
The focus is going to be entirely on Kalen DeBoer either way, because if they win, they go to the Rose Bowl, and that means they made those adjustments that you just talked about. They turned it over 3 times last time they played the Sooners. They have not been able to run the football in either one of those losses the last 2 years. And of course, if they lose, the Michigan question is coming back. Is Kalen DeBoer actually going to entertain a conversation with the Wolverines? You know, one thing to keep in mind with this game from a trend perspective is Kalen DeBoer is 6-4 straight up in true road games with Alabama. Can they actually go on the road in a hostile environment that ought to be special and win the game? I have them winning the game. This line has flip-flopped a lot in the last 2 weeks. I do think Alabama, with everybody telling them they don't belong, pull out a gutsy kind of 21-17 type victory tonight.
23-21 first time around, 3 turnovers committed, all by Alabama. That was really the difference in the game. If you assume they don't turn the ball over 3 times in that game, they probably do take care of business against John Mateer and company. We'll see what happens tonight. Talk about another line change, Bill. Texas A&M went from 5.5 to 5, and now they're all the way down to 3.5 against the University of Miami tomorrow afternoon. The total is 48.5 in this one. Texas A&M's schedule among all SEC teams, perhaps not the strongest. You could poke holes at them. You could look at Miami and say there's a team in the college football playoff that lost games, particularly to SMU, which never should happen, playing for a college football playoff or national championship. So you could find fault with both teams, but you would also say that both teams could give other teams trouble even if they win this game tonight. Who wins in College Station tomorrow?
I like Texas A&M to win the game, but I kind of like Miami to cover, and that's a hedge of sorts because it really comes down to the quarterbacks here. Marcel Reed, he only took 10 sacks this season, but he also threw 10 interceptions. So can that Miami pass rush land with All-Americans Ruben Bain and Akeem Messidor? He made our second team at Sporting News, by the way. And then on the other end, is Carson Beck ready to play in this environment? He gets his chance. He had 10 touchdowns, 1 interception since that SMU loss, which was a disastrous game for Miami. But I kind of like them to hang around here in this game if they can handle that Kyle Field environment on the road, which I think they will. Feels like a field goal game either way. I'm giving Texas A&M the advantage at home. I don't love it because I think this will be the tightest and most entertaining game of the weekend.
Yeah, Carson Beck, great regular season, albeit in those losses really struggled. And so that's a good point by you, Bill. 25 touchdowns during the regular season, but also did have 10 interceptions. And remember, college football teams generally not playing 18 games in a season. So the 10 number is a lot in the losses too. All right. So now we get to a game here where, this is where college football has their little problem here. There's several teams in the playoff naturally that are double-digit favorites, and not just double-digit, but almost 3 touchdown favorites when we're going to get to the Oregon game. But this one in Tulane is the Summerall finale here, potentially. They're getting 17.5 against Ole Miss. The Rebels should be very fired up, I would imagine, for this game, knowing that this is their best chance that they're probably going to have maybe ever, Bill, to win a national championship. They're 6th in the country, laying 17.5 and a total of 56.5. The Gators hired John Summerall for a reason. I'm certainly hopeful that for his team, maybe they don't win, but they go out with a bang here.
You talked about adjustments. Well, they're going to have to adjust from the last meeting when they lost 45-10. Jake Retzlaff incompleted his first 9 passes in that game. So can they attack Ole Miss a little bit differently? And then, of course, on the other side, what does it Ole Miss look like without Lane? I don't know how to measure that. I don't. Not having him on the sideline, will it matter? Will it not matter? How does Pete Golding do with the play calling? I think you keep it simple with Kejuan Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss. They had huge games on the ground the last time against Tulane. That said, I think Tulane hangs around a little bit longer this time. They got outscored 23-3 in the first half. Can they make it a little tighter, make it a 4-quarter type game? Probably not, but that number still looks a little high with Lane Kiffin not being there. I'm going to take the Green Wave to cover.
Meanwhile, we have James Madison tomorrow night, taking on Oregon. Boy, did this team get the short end of the stick. I believe it's the 7:30 p.m. Eastern game up against the NFL. I mean, the Ducks are 20.5 point favorites, Bill, and they opened up sort of around this too. Dante Moore's been fantastic for them. James Madison has been a surprise team this season, and I like the fact that the David and Goliath matchup happens in the college football playoff. But if last year's history tells us anything, JMU doesn't have much of a shot tomorrow night.
I hope they hang around for college football's sake. I don't think it'll be an easy path to do that, not against that Oregon offensive and defensive front, and not if they can't get a running game going against the Ducks early, because it could spiral out of control. They're not just going up against the NFL, they're going up against Packers Bears, right? So they have to give us an excuse to hang around for 4 quarters. I'm not sure they will. I'm not looking forward to the social media reaction if Oregon blows them out. I've got it at 38-10 Ducks. And I think Oregon barrels toward that Texas Tech matchup, which, if the games happen as we think we're going to happen, we'll forget about the first round, because we're going to have an awesome, awesome quarterfinal round.
So ironically, Ohio State favored to win the national championship at the beginning of the season, and that's who Bill liked at the beginning of the season. The odds were about 4-1. Now they're about 2-1. You can pivot if you want here, Bill, as we wrap up before the playoffs start. We have 30 seconds, or you could just give me another team you think that has a shot.
I'm going to take the Ohio State-Georgia winner in the semifinals. Right now I have Georgia, but I could absolutely see Ohio State winning. They've only given up 16 points or less in every game. Hard to bet against that.
All right, we'll follow up on that next week. Thanks, Bill. Have a great weekend.
Hey, thank you.
Be right back.
I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
Say
these
if I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me.
They
I
smashed
told them
you.
to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
Look,
somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
in this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They went all in with the Sauce Gardner trade, right? All in. Give you a couple of number 1 picks here. Then Daniel Jones breaks the leg, and then he tears the Achilles. All right, you're signing Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? I mean, by the way, you know what hasn't been talked about enough? Sam Ellinger decided he didn't want to come play for the Colts. Why? You would have been. I know Denver activated him to the roster anyway, but he would have been maybe a starting quarterback this weekend.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Getting down to the end of the NFL season. Boy, it felt like we just started this season back in August, but here we go. We got a divisional matchup that could determine the NFC South this week. Bucks taking on the Panthers. Jaguars and Broncos both surging toward the playoffs. We'll hear from Bo Nix of Denver, and a must-win game for Detroit and Jared Goff. Time now for the Sports Grid Sound Off. Let's get started with the Carolina Panthers. You could kind of figure out a lot of teams in the NFL, but I feel like this division in particular, the NFC South, is a tough one. I think I know who Tampa Bay is. I think I got that straight. The Saints, scrappy team. Atlanta, impossible to figure. Carolina, also one of those teams too, seems to be playing great one week and bad the next. We saw that exemplified last week when they took on the Saints. So consistency, that's what the Panthers are looking for. Isn't that what every team is looking for? But here is Bryce Young on trying to get that offense more consistent so they can beat Tampa Bay on Sunday.
No, it's being consistent. It's striving for the best. Like you said, coach challenges us with that every weekend. It's going to be the same. We just want to go 1-0 this week. That's all that matters. So for us, we're still doing the same thing, trying to master our process in the quarterback room, having the same routine, being diligent. It's just taking it 1 week at a time.
Said he could sense subtle cues from guys today that guys were locked in. What do you see, or what's an example of that you've seen from teammates that suggests that?
Yeah, we have a group of guys that do a great job with being focused and being motivated. Walkthroughs I think is always a really good, especially a Wednesday walkthrough. You're kind of back after a little, the day off and a little bit of time away from being on the field together, and again, it's a walkthrough tempo. So I think kind of in between the huddle, seeing how quickly guys get back, hearing what the conversation is, is it all on topic? Is it all the guys that are standing behind, getting there, how focused is everyone? And, I'm super grateful and super proud of this team. We do a really good job of that.
It'll be a cold Sunday in Denver. Very tough place to play, Mile High Stadium, but the Jacksonville Jaguars has been one of the hottest teams in the NFL. So when these two teams clash, it could come down to playing in Mile High in Denver, and especially the Broncos fans who show up regardless of what the weather is. Here's Bo Nix on the support that the Broncos have given him throughout the year.
It's a great question. I think it's, they've been extremely supportive. They've allowed me to, like an earlier question, allow me to fail and then get back to success, allow me to have success and, manage it. And I think it's, all about, riding the roller coaster of the highs and the lows. And, we've been able to put something together this year. I think that's been a good product for them to enjoy. And I think it's just a great home environment. It's one of the best, atmospheres in the entire country, not just professionally, but, we're starting to really play. It feels like each game is a playoff game, and each game has a lot of importance to it. And so having a home crowd, playing at home is, you obviously wouldn't want to go on the road in this situation, but, it's extremely exciting. It feels like we're, getting it back to what it was back in its heyday. And I think it's, back to what it should be.
And finally, one of the teams that was favored to win the NFC after the Philadelphia Eagles, the Detroit Lions season on life support. They have to win this game this week against the Steelers to stay alive. Quarterback Jared Goff knows that, knows the offense is going well. They just need to get the W.
Yeah, no, we've been moving the ball well, and certainly this past week scoring there a little bit, and again, not enough to win the game. So that's all that matters to us, and need to find a way to score one more touchdown or two more touchdowns, whatever it may be, to win.
Dan smiled, he laughed, he said he is sick of answering the questions about how this team bounces back and doesn't lose consecutive games. Are you in a similar mindset knowing what this team has with 3 games left in this regular season?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think, if we want to stop getting that question, we got to start stringing something together. So, we got to bounce back this week and then string them together.
Jared, Coach Campbell talked about how these guys play like bully ball. Do you agree with that assessment?
Sure, yeah. I think that's kind of been the hallmark of who they are for however long they've been successful there, and which is a long time. And they're a tough physical team. They're AFC North. They play downhill. They're strong, and that's what they pride themselves on.
What is it about Aaron that's always made him the excellent quarterback that he is on the other side?
Man, his ability to put the ball wherever he wants and at whatever speed and pace he wants to, and the mobility, all that stuff.
Couple of notes here. We'll give you one from Major League Baseball's hot stove, a trade, 3-team trade, Houston, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. A lot of details surrounding it and a lot of players being moved, but the bottom line is the biggest name in the deal is Brandon Lau, second baseman, now goes from Tampa Bay to Pittsburgh, who will pick up his salary, and this is the way that the Pirates will rebuild their offseason, at least to start with. Coming up next, we'll join Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report to go over the latest on DraftKings joining the prediction market business.
It'll be interesting to see in that Big 12. We keep talking about it. With Houston, with Iowa State, with Kansas, with BYU. They're going to be battle tested, but so is the rest of that league. And man, that is going to be fun to watch.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
If I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid. This season is about coming together, sharing moments,
We're going to go with the over tonight.
and celebrating what connects us. It's lighting the candles, gathering like a team, and finding joy in every night. 8 nights of tradition, 8 nights of celebration, 8 chances to shine. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Good morning to all of you in California, in Texas, and wherever you live that sports betting is not legal. You now have a way to get involved in the sports betting market that's not called sports betting. It's called prediction markets, and I'm sure everyone is familiar with all of these companies by now, Kalshi, Polymarket, and Crypto.com, and many others, and I'm sure you're familiar with the gentleman who you see his face next to mine. It's Sam McQuillan, because he is going to share the big news of the day, Sam, that one of the biggest sports betting operators has decided officially not to say they're going to join the space, but to launch their prediction market app. So let's talk about that and what it could mean in some states that actually have regulated sports betting.
Yeah, DraftKings announced today that it's going to launch prediction markets in 38 total states, which is pretty much the same number that they have a legal sports book in. And they're going to go into 17 states specifically with sports event contracts. Of course, prediction markets aren't just limited to sports. You know, as a matter of fact, they kind of started off not being in sports, where you could offer, things on the outcome of the awards, different ceremonies, that kind of stuff. Earlier this year, sports prediction markets emerged out of the space, giving companies like DraftKings an avenue to reach states like California and Texas, where sports betting remains illegal. It's going to be there first just with spreads and alternate spreads, and then traditional game winner money line betting options on the NBA, NFL, and college basketball and the NHL to start. So that's different from platforms like Kalshi and Polymarket, which have already expanded into other sports like boxing. And I'm told from a source that, if this goes well for DraftKings, they're going to expand with more sports and potentially more options down the road. It comes after Fanatics made a similar move last month to launch specifically in states where it cannot offer sports betting. And the product looks and feels very similar to sports betting, but at a much more kind of limited phase right now. Comes as multiple states have threatened companies like DraftKings, companies like FanDuel, that if you offer sports prediction markets in any state, not just in our state, we might revoke your sports betting license. And earlier this week, we talked about that happening with Underdog in Arizona, which lost its fantasy license for offering sports event contracts. So it seems like this kind of gray regulated industry, which looks like sports betting but isn't technically, according to a lot of people, is here to stay right now, as multiple states challenge it in courts. But those lawsuits are taking up a long time. Meanwhile, the CFTC, which a lot of companies say is in charge of this thing, really has not done much, and it does not look like will really interfere with this. So we now have this landscape of where these companies, these sports betting companies like DraftKings, are going in and launching this product, reaching states like California and Texas again, with basically a sports book that's not regulated like a sports book. So it'll be really interesting to see how this reshapes the whole industry going into next year. Right?
Let's get to Kalshi here. They made news this week as well. And, everybody trying to make a buck and starting a business that could end up being $1 billion business. I certainly respect it. But I definitely question the intent of some of the folks that thought that this would be a good idea, meaning the idea that we're going to discuss of actually having predictions on where kids end up transferring to through the transfer portal. My gosh, like I understand the outcomes of games and I understand trades, but Sam, like this whole transfer portal stuff is new for all of us in this world, and it involves kids sometimes that are very young as well. And look, I'm not big on thinking that so many different things can be manipulated in sports betting. I know some are going to happen. They're always going to be bad actors. But man, this just opens up the door for that. Why would they want to kick open that thing? I got to wonder.
Yeah, this is what goes back to one of the core arguments as to why people want sports betting regulated by the states, why they want state gambling laws to prevent things, because historically sports books have not offered or even been able to offer markets like the ones Kalshi's proposing, where you can bet on not just if a college athlete is going to enter the transfer portal, but where they'll end up going, which Kalshi has signaled with its contract saying that these markets would be resolved, in things like social media posts or public reporting. Even if these athletes reverse course and decide not to go through with that or go to another school, but sports books aren't allowed to do this. And because prediction markets really have no rules they need to follow right now, nothing is stopping Kalshi from self-certifying and listing these contracts with the CFTC. Now, as to why they might want to do it, there could be several reasons. They want to, the whole mission of prediction markets has been to kind of gamify and financialize everything that happens in the world, including decisions that sometimes can rely on insider trading, as you alluded to, Craig. It doesn't look like, at least right now, there would be any specific protocols to prevent a friend or family member of someone or a college athlete who is thinking about transferring. It doesn't look like there would be any protocols to really prevent them from making a wager or benefiting on this, and we really don't know how this would all be policed. Now, I want to make sure I hit home the point that this has not happened already. This is just Kalshi's listing its intent to do this, but it's certainly making headlines. It's, turning into a landscape where I'm on your show talking about it. Kalshi's getting more public attention about this, whether it's criticism, right or wrong, all publicity is good publicity. But meanwhile, it kind of further differentiates them as prediction markets attempting to go much further and much farther than sports books ever have been able to. The NCAA came out, not so surprisingly, and criticized this, called Kalshi an unregulated gambling, and said that this is kind of a terrible idea. Kalshi responded saying regulated by the CFTC, which obviously hasn't done much. So we'll see if this even ends up getting, becoming a thing by next year. But it certainly would attract a lot of people interested in betting on this kind of thing. You had over 2,000 D1 football players just last year enter the transfer portal. So, people love to bet on everything if you give them another way to do it. I certainly don't think they'll scoff at that. And meanwhile, regulation and anyone who's trying to stop this, it seems to be kind of waiting in the wings, sloshing through the courts.
Yeah, definitely so. All right, so let's end with some sports betting news. Sports books in Pennsylvania got some numbers in from the month of November, Sam, and the big holiday month and a lot of football on Thanksgiving Thursday. I'm guessing a pretty solid outcome here.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is one of the first states to report its monthly sports betting numbers, which pretty much gives us a good look at where sports betting in the entire country did during the month of November. Pennsylvania also being one of the largest states and first states to legalize. There was $991 million in handle, that's money bet on sports, during the month of November in Pennsylvania, and operators took home a record $125 million in revenue off of a 13% hold. That means 13% of all the money that was bet, operators kept as kind of profits that they made off of sports betting. And it was, as you alluded to, Greg, it was a huge month sports betting wise in the NFL. You had several games on Thanksgiving, which generated record handle. For once this year, it was actually some good matchups and good games that we were watching instead of, years past where you had some lowly teams kind of, slodging through the day. So I think that definitely attracted a lot more betting as well. And the public overall really did not do well, which is, again, why you see that huge hold percent number for the sports books in the month. You had teams that got at least 60% of bets. They performed about 37% against the spread. So most of the teams that the public was backing did not cover the spread. That's always good for the sports books, which, again, made a lot of profit off of same game parlay, doing really well in the month, as well as some, high profile teams like the Chiefs not making the playoffs, missing the playoffs, and out of Super Bowl contention. They always attract a lot of futures bets. And then especially you have the month of, it was the month where Missouri launched sports betting as well. So a lot of bets were tied to the Chiefs, and the sports books really cleaned up. And they'll be hoping for the same story in December as we round out into the playoffs, and then eventually over into March Madness and the rest of the year. But a huge bounce back month so far for the sports books.
All right, Sam, thanks for coming on. Have a great weekend. Happy holidays. We'll talk again next week. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks. You too, Craig.
All right, let's take a quick break. Coming up next, John Lafayette from The Measure joins us to talk about the latest in advertising with NBCU and others as well. You're watching NewsWire here on SportsGrid on this Friday, and we'll be right back.
Interesting to see in that Big 12. We keep talking about it. With Houston, with Iowa State, with Kansas, with BYU. They're going to be battle tested, but so is the rest of that league. And man, that is going to be fun to watch.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
If I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid. This season is about coming together, sharing moments,
We're going to go with the over tonight.
and celebrating what connects us. It's lighting the candles, gathering like a team, and finding joy in every night. 8 nights of tradition, 8 nights of celebration, 8 chances to shine. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. As always, John Lafayette joins us from The Measure here on a Friday to go over some of the latest news in advertising and sports as it pertains to sports betting and streaming options as well. John, great to have you back here on the show, and happy holidays to you. Let's get started and discuss this new innovative way that NBCU is talking about running ads, which could really shake things up as far as plays are concerned with sports. NBA, Major League Baseball, the National Football League. They're all trying to find a way to make money and be creative, John. I guess that's the bottom line here. How is NBCU choosing to go this route?
It's all about technology right now and matching up viewers with the products that they want to buy. These commercials in sports are expensive, as you know. For an NFL game, people are paying like $800,000 for 30 seconds. Now, these ads attract a lot of viewers, and these viewers are paying a lot of attention to what's going on the screen. But what the advertisers want to do is really make sure that they're taking advantage of these spots. They don't, and NBC feels the same way. I mean, NBC takes its sports very seriously. They've got the Super Bowl coming up. They've got the NBA All-Star Game coming up. They've got the Olympics and even the World Cup. So with the prices that these advertisers are paying, they want to make sure that they're not just in a game, but they are part of the game. So what they're doing with technology is they're going to be isolating the key moments in these games when people are going to be paying attention, and that they can run ads that sort of play off of what's going on the screen. So let's like an example. Let's say that there's a big fumble in the middle of a game that maybe changes the direction of the game. So you got a fumble, so you got it, someone like a Bounty, a paper towels, they say, oh, look, in their commercial, someone dropped something, we can clean up this mess. Subconsciously or better, the viewer is going to sort of like look at that, and they're going to smile. They're going to think paper towels. They're going to think Bounty. All kinds of good imaginations. Same thing with a last-minute buzzer beater on a basketball game. An advertiser like State Farm can run one of their Caitlin Clark commercials and show her hitting a big shot from the logo. We've been running those, hitting them from the logo spots on and on and on. And that's a way that they can sort of make sure that they're maximizing the impact of the spots. The other way they can do that is they can track who's actually watching these games and then follow them as they watch other programs on NBC. So whether it's streaming, whether it's online, or whether it's on the network, if you've watched the football game and you become aware of a product, that same advertiser can make sure that you see more and more of their ads and drive you closer and closer to actually making a purchase with those subsequent exposures. They say NBC says this stuff works. They say advertisers who tried this approach got a 10% lift in awareness. That means people knowing who the product is and who's advertising. 77% increase in search engagement, which means you're interested in the product, you want to find out more, you go to the website, and that's and they're 7 more times likely to do that. So the bottom line for all of this is that this convinces the advertisers to pay more. This convinces the networks that we got more money, we want these sports to stay with us, so they pay more money to the sports networks, and basically that leaves the players and the owners to fight over a bigger pile of money. I don't know where that leaves the consumers, but there you go. It's a big deal for the advertising business.
No doubt, especially with creative ways to advertise. We'll see if fans appreciate that. Well, the one thing that fans definitely appreciate is a good Super Bowl, especially if it comes down to the wire. And we're headed toward probably, I would guess, John, another record-breaking advertising share and number for those people who want to get involved. We've seen the ads go up to as high as $8 million for a 30-second ad, John. So what does this mean for this season, and do you think that this is just getting progressively higher as we go?
Well, yeah, as the TV landscape changes, the value comes in the big events that more and more people are watching, and nothing is bigger than the Super Bowl. I mean, last year you had almost 130 million people watching. With the new way Nielsen is measuring, that number is probably going to get eclipsed, regardless of which teams are in the game. I mean, last year you had 2 very popular teams, so that benefited everybody with Kansas City no longer being around. I'm sure the NFL will still come up with a pretty good matchup because ratings have been up double digits all year long. There's no reason to believe that the Super Bowl won't be the same way. And like you said, the prices for these ads are going up. I mean, $8 million is a lot of money for 30 seconds. So, who's paying that money? One of the people advertising this game is going to be Grubhub. They haven't been in the Super Bowl since 2016. They're trying to catch up with the DoorDashers and the Uber Eats of the world for people who want snacks during the game and at other times when they're just sitting around the house and getting hungry. And the Super Bowl is going to be a good way to reach a lot of those people. Then you got folks like Cadillac. They're going to be introducing their new Formula One car, the Cadillac F1. So that's going to get a lot of attention. And they're going to be running a lot of support for all of these things. You're going to be able to watch these ads online. They're going to be trailers and teasers and all that kind of stuff so that people are looking forward to these ads, not just during the game, but before the game and after the game. Other folks advertising the game is like Liquid IV. They're taking on Gatorade, and they're going to be calling their ads the game-winning play, so that if you're thirsty and you're in the middle of a game, maybe you'll go for a liquid IV if you're a sports fan, or if or if you're just exercising. You got Svedka Vodka is another advertiser. They're going to be using generative AI to create an ad. You might remember if you were drinking age 12 years ago, like I am, they had the silver-plated robot woman that was their spokesperson. Well, now she's going to be animated thanks to AI, and that's going to be the way that they get into the play. A lot of different advertisers roll in here. You've got Pepsi with their Pepsi Zero Sugar, Poppy, and Lay's brands. TurboTax is going to be back. Dove is encouraging girls to play in sports. You got other big names like Ritz, Nerds, Pringles, Bosch, Kinder Bueno, Hellman's Mayonnaise, Manscaped, Novartis, and even WeatherTech. So all these guys are lining up with their dollars to buy these expensive ads. And you got to assume that if all these people are paying big money, it's got to work. So enjoy the game, enjoy the commercials. We'll see who's playing, but we're already seeing the lineup of who's going to be the sponsors.
John, have a great weekend. Thanks for coming on NewsWire, and we'll catch up with you again after the holidays. Thanks again. We will take a quick time out here on NewsWire. When we come back next, Brady Cannon sits down with the founder and CEO of Atlas World Sports. His name is Robert Kraft, a different Robert Kraft, naturally. We'll have that for you coming back next. Don't go away.
If I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Michael Jordan retired at the age of 30 in 1993. He missed the 93-94 season. Furthermore, he came back for 17 games in 1995 when he gave up baseball. And when I mean gave up baseball, he gave up baseball on March 18th and came back to basketball March 19th, which means no ramp up, no training camp, no nothing.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
saying
these
if I'm
games.
a fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
They told me.
They smashed
I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
Look,
somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
in this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kalshi says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I see the Lions making it when it's all said and done. I talked to Brady Cannon about this. We were doing our show on Sunday night. I think the Bears are just a season early. I think they're a year early in their development. They are winning games, and they still have a negative point differential. The turnovers are keeping them afloat. That's just not sustainable when it's all said and done. Ben Johnson has done a fantastic job. Next year will be the year they truly take a lead.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. As we get ready to approach the holidays, we're giving you a special treat. Brady Cannon of SportsGrid is sitting down with the co-founder and CEO of Atlas World Sports, Robert Kraft. And Kraft is involved in technology and sports information as it pertains to online companies, and also, of course, like every other company under the sun, involving AI and agreements with that as well. By the way, I watch so many videos these days and people send me videos, is it just me, or does it seem like I can't figure out if anything is real or fake anymore? I've kind of gone down that road where no matter what I see that is posted on social media these days, initially I think that it is AI and it's potentially fake. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing for this world. Some of it's funny, some of it's awful, honestly. All right, but this is great. I digress. Brady Cannon sitting down right now with Robert Kraft.
It's Hillary McAfee here with SportsGrid. We're on the floor of G2E. We're covering all the newest trends, biggest innovations, lots of tech happening. We're excited to get into it. So what's going on with the Monopoly and the Vault? What do you have?
So we just earned the license and got the rights for the Monopoly for land-based slots. And it's our first game we're releasing early in 2026, and it's an amazing looking product, and so we can't wait for it to hit the floors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing over at your booth? Because I remember when you guys did your NFL launch, you had a massive helmet over there. What do you have this year?
So we've got some fantastic product across the floor. So obviously the Monopoly was the big reveal that we did yesterday. It's in a massive bank vault, door opens, you go in and you see that. It's got all the best features in that game. We also have some fantastic product across extending our NFL franchise. So we have our latest take on that, which is NFL Grand Champions. So I'd strongly recommend you come and have a look at that one. It's going to take NFL to the next level. And then we have some great extensions on existing brands. So the FOMO Mummy, the latest iteration of Momo Mummy. We have Millionizer. We have Mega Stampede. So there's a product for every floor.
Looking back, you've been in gaming for quite a while now. You're kind of a legend. What are you just really proud of?
We're absolutely proud of the fantastic way we lead the industry. We deliver exceptional, innovative product and lead that innovation with the strong creative team we have. And really proud that yesterday we were recognized with Class 2 land-based supplier, Class 3 land-based supplier, and then slot of the year with Phoenix Link. So we've had an exceptionally strong year, and that was recognized at the Global Gaming Awards. So very proud of that.
Yeah, congratulations. Those are huge accomplishments.
Yeah.
So what's next for you guys?
It's to continue to lead and innovate. So we have a strategy around people, product, and partnerships. So with people, it's about retaining, attracting, and developing the best talent, whether that's in creative game development, and sales, commercial strategy, execution. We want the best. With product, obviously our product speaks for itself, so we continue to invest at industry-leading standards to drive that innovation and continue to be at the forefront and lead the industry. And then it's about partnerships with our customers. So how do we drive true partnerships, solve their challenges, and help them grow, so that ultimately our customers and then their players get the best experience and get the best seat in the house wherever and whenever the world plays.
So the gaming industry is obviously fastly evolving. Each year there's a new hot topic happening that everyone's talking about. The panels, there's usually a pretty big theme that goes across the whole year, and it's super dynamic. So what do you think are some hurdles that you can identify that the gaming industry has had to overcome over the past year?
So one of the areas that obviously comes up a lot, and you see it everywhere, is AI. So how do we leverage AI to be more efficient and move faster? But then how do we ensure we maintain responsible gaming and manage it in a way that doesn't compromise the product or our players? So we're really focused on how do we leverage that, more about collaboration speed. We're based in multiple countries around the world. So one of our strengths is it's talent unleashed and collective brilliance. So how do we get all those people working together, and how do we leverage AI to help drive that? We're looking at early development around art concepts. So we use AI to help generate some concepts, and then our internal art teams then take those and build them out to the fully finished product. And then outside of product, we use automation and generative AI to help develop faster insights, and then we can go to market, help our customers understand where we're seeing some opportunities, and improve their floors faster.
So my last question is, and I'm asking everyone this, so you better have a very good one because you are the best. What's your hot take for the industry?
This industry is fun, it's energetic, it's innovative, and why wouldn't you want to work in it?
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Not a problem.
Really
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and have a wonderful rest of your show.
if I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Michael Jordan retired at the age of 30 in 1993. He missed the 93-94 season. Furthermore, he came back for 17 games in 1995 when he gave up baseball. And when I mean gave up baseball, he gave up baseball on March 18th and came back to basketball March 19th, which means no ramp up, no training camp, no nothing.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going
I'm
to
saying
these
if I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me.
They smashed
I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing. They do. Well, somebody's got money.
In this economy,
They have money. I don't know. See what Kalshi says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I see the Lions making it when it's all said and done. I talked to Brady Cannon about this. We were doing our show on Sunday night. I think the Bears are just a season early. I think they're a year early in their development. They are winning games, and they still have a negative point differential. The turnovers are keeping them afloat. That's just not sustainable when it's all said and done. Ben Johnson has done a fantastic job. Next year will be the year they truly take a lead.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Great to have Mike Blewett here on the show, covering the National Football League. Mike normally hosts every Sunday here, of course, on our in-game live programming, and going to take this week off. He's on the mend, I would say, probably in baseball terms, maybe on the 15-day or 10-day IL. Football terms, maybe on the IR with designation to return, right? Those things. Mike had surgery, and he's back with us. Nothing serious, just getting a little cleanup there. Mike, thanks for coming back on the show. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, a little meniscus repair. So you're right. Probably 10-day IL. I think I take a week off and should be back for week 17 in person. But excited to be here with you, and obviously coming off an absolute banger last night on Thursday night.
Yeah, definitely. So I thought this game was over several times. In fact, as I was watching, my son was playing baseball. I saw the Rams up big, thought the game was over. Seattle came back. I saw Puka Nacua catching a long touchdown. I thought that was the end of the game. But you're right. I mean, this thing just went back and forth constantly. And Seattle really needed all of the 12th man to get that done. I thought the coach was right. The fans were definitely a big part of this one, disrupting what the Rams did, so to speak. Sam Darnold had 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It took a while to get going with Jackson Smith and Jigba, but once he did, it really got started. But I think maybe was the story of the game, Mike, would you say, that 2-point conversion? It obviously led to Seattle winning, and I know Sean McVay had a lot of questions about that at the end of the game, but the Rams defense, I thought, the first time all season, completely fell flat.
Incredible play to decide something like that, right? This now tips the balance of the number 1 seed in the NFC. And on a play in which, and I had a lot of questions about it too, I understand that it's a lateral and the ball is in play, but we see so many plays like that blown dead where everyone stops, the play's blown dead, and then it doesn't really matter what happens after the whistles, right? We've been dealing with that for years. So that's what made the play so unique. At least a heads-up play by the running back to pick up the ball and get the 2-pointer. You have what you think is a devastating interception for Sam Darnold in the fourth quarter, and it really ends up being the highlight of his career, Craig. This fourth quarter comeback, it's the biggest comeback, certainly the biggest play of his NFL career, or biggest win of his NFL career. To your point about the defense collapsing, true, but also we have 5 drives in the fourth quarter where the Rams have the ball and come up with no points. So that's certainly perplexing. The missed field goal is a rough one. Harrison Mevis had hit every kick on the year, extra points and field goals. and he misses a huge one last night, which could have gotten them the win because we had no scores after that back-to-back punt return and then touchdown pass by Darnold.
So right now, by the way, let's show Stafford's numbers here because I don't want to sleep on him just for a minute. 457 yards, 3 touchdowns, 29 of 49. I see some folks saying he doesn't deserve the MVP after last night's performance. What are they talking about? This guy has been fantastic. He's the MVP of the league, I think, without a doubt. Okay, so real quick, let's do NFC West here. What's really interesting to me is because of the 49ers head-to-head matchup in the final week of the season, they're only plus 330 to win the division, Mike. What the odds makers are telling us, basically, if San Francisco somehow is able to win their final few games and beat Seattle on the last game of the season, they could win this division. I mean, their odds, as crazy as it seems, are just about where the Rams are.
Yeah, and they've got tough matchups for whatever you think of the Phil Rivers experiment. I don't know that I'd want to go to Indianapolis the way they played Seattle last week on the road. A good performance. It's still a talented team, even though they have kind of fallen apart here in the last 5 games. But they're at Indy, and then they have home games. Luckily, the Niners do against the Bears and the Seahawks. Tough matchups, but nice to get those at home. So the Niners playing really well. We see this with them a lot, Craig, year over year, where the Niners stumble a little bit. This year, it's certainly due to injuries, and then they pick up a lot of steam. We've seen them make the Super Bowl multiple times with going on late season runs. Wouldn't stun me if they sweep it here, but you and I talked about this in the summer. This is the most compelling division in football. It was to me going into the year, and now all 3 teams are really challenging in the playoff race.
Yeah, definitely would not sleep on the 49ers. You're right. They have surged in different points of the season. All right, Saturday night here, as I've talked about throughout the week, Mike, the one team in the NFL with the almost very best record that's getting the least respect, maybe for good reason, you'll tell me, are the Chicago Bears. I mean, think about their record this season and where they're at to be home underdogs on a Saturday night in Chicago against the Packers. The total is 46.5. Even despite losing Micah Parsons and Josh Jacobs banged up, and we really don't know who's going to be playing or not from on the side of Green Bay, it sure seems to me like this is coming down to the wire on Saturday night. What do you think?
Yeah, and this one has ultimately flipped now to where the Bears are a slight favorite. I think this is impacted in some ways, Craig, by the performance we saw a couple of weeks ago, where the Packers offense was really good against them. The Bears calling card this season has been their defense's ability to turn the ball over. They lead the league in takeaways, and they have continued to do that. The Jaguars and the Steelers are up there at the top as well. But can they protect the ball? Caleb Williams' superpower this year has been his elusiveness and his care of the football. Normally you have a player like that that's as elusive and trying to make plays. You see some risk taking that goes the other way, but Caleb Williams has really protected the ball nicely. He's going to have to do that. I think the Bears can win in a lower scoring game, but if we start to get into the scoring matches that we saw last time around, I think go the way of the Packers. We have to find out, and this is very difficult to discern, how motivated the Packers are after suffering more significant injuries to this team. I think they're talented, and I think they were talented enough to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if I feel that way any longer, losing Parsons and Watson down for the count again.
Definitely so. Okay, so we're going to see, I think, probably one of these 2 teams in the playoffs, Tampa Bay, Carolina. They're going to face each other a couple of times. Bucks are 3-point favorites in Carolina with a total of 45.5. I mean, I think like the enthusiast in me, not having a side or a dog in the race, wants to see Tampa Bay take charge of this division and maybe show us something a little bit in the playoffs. But since really the middle of October, they've shown nothing, Mike. They've gone completely the other way. Carolina is just super up and down in this spot. The way I described it earlier in the week was that I'll check back in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes. One team's going to have a ball with a chance to kick the field goal and win. That's the way that I see this game on Sunday.
Seems crazy not to take the points here, right? I'm leaning towards Tampa. I think overall they're the better coached, better squad, but this is a coin flip game. it probably is a little surprising to some that you're seeing 3 points going the way of Carolina. So I have to side with you, even though I think Tampa's probably going to win the game. We have to take the points here. Divisional home dog is not a spot I like to bet against. And in this spot, I think I have to go with them. Bucks are still very banged up. We see a lot of that. Now, they have a lot of talent, but when I'm watching their offense, it feels disjointed, as if there's almost too many options. Ibuka, Evans, Godwin is in the background now. We see the backs with Irving and Tucker being used at the goal line. These are all good options, but I found the offense to be a little bit disjointed, and Baker clearly not 100%.
Finally, Mike, let's get to your Steelers. They're taking on the Lions this week. Detroit is -6.5. The sense of urgency really high for both teams. Honestly, though, more so for Detroit. Steelers get in the playoffs with a win over the Ravens, and that pretty much sums up their season if they do that. Does Detroit win and cover this game, or could Pittsburgh keep it close?
I think the Steelers have an opportunity to keep it close, but one thing they have not done well, and we saw it a couple of weeks ago against the Bills, is they've had a hard time stopping the run when they need to, and the Lions can gash the Steelers. I do think that happens. I think this is a very difficult spot for the Steelers, and the Lions will have their way running the ball.
Mike, feel better. Get well soon. We'll catch up with you next week here on NewsWire, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Appreciate it. Same to you.
Coach James Young up next, recapping the NBA. Don't go away.
I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got a.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show.
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter.
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
saying
these
if I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me.
They smashed
I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's
They
amazing.
don't.
Well, somebody's got money.
In this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Pro Basketball Today every Tuesday here on SportsGrid, hosted by our next guest, Coach James Young, here with us to preview some of the games this weekend, also recap the games from the NBA last night. JY, great to have you here as we close out the week here on NewsWire. And let's get to some finals from last night. The offensive output for the Los Angeles Lakers, a massive 143-point outcome. They needed all those points, Coach, because they gave up 135 to the Utah Jazz, and Luka with 45 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. LeBron James also had a nice game as well. Coach, if they keep Reeves healthy and keep Luka healthy and keep LeBron on the court, this may be the first time in years that I'm looking at the Lakers and saying, hey, maybe all the hype is actually worth it. We can actually talk about the Lakers with them legitimately having a chance to make some noise. Usually we don't. Welcome back.
Well, thanks, Craig. And listen, they got to be better defensively. Obviously, the 148, 149 points was outstanding. They've had, I think, the worst defensive rating since LeBron James has been back, having trouble stopping the ball. But when you think about the offensive firepower they have with Luka, with Reeves, with LeBron, with DeAndre Ayton at times, like they have enough guys that they can score the ball. What that means, Craig, is LeBron James can take on the role of a chameleon, right? To me, it's not so much the fact that he scored the points, it's been his assists, right? He's got other guys around him that can not only make shots, but make plays themselves. So to me, LeBron's in that chameleon role where he can kind of move around and be that chess piece that JJ Redick needs. If you need him to score, yes. You need him to rebound, yes. Whatever you need. It's a perfect fit for a Lakers team. Let's be honest, it's playing some pretty good basketball right now.
Yeah, and right now their total has risen on FanDuel to 53.5 for the Lakers, which is as high as it's been in years, maybe since the bubble season. So that's really good news for them. A lot of odds makers are telling us there's a shot Luka wins the MVP. He is plus 300. Speaking of MVPs, let's go to the East where Jalen Brunson knocked down the game-winning shot. The cast of characters he usually has, coach, was limited last night with a lot of injuries, and just certainly after winning that NBA Cup, they decided to rest some folks against the Pacers. Boy, it almost bit them. They won 114-113 in this matchup. Brunson, 25 points. The key shot at the end of the game, he was 3 of 8 from three-point range. Speaking of the Lakers actually being up to the hype, it feels like the Knicks are also up to the hype this season as well.
Yeah, they really have been. And you have to, a lot of credit needs to go to Mike Brown. You go into last night with Indiana, who's playing a little bit better basketball, right? You don't have, obviously, Cat. You don't have Mitchell Robinson. You don't have Josh Hart. So other guys stepped up. You see right there, Mikal Bridges had a good game. OJ Anunoby shook off a rough start, hit a big three in the corner to tie the game. And then there's Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek that, let's be honest, Tibbs wouldn't even play him on the court. If they made him make 5 guys, he would never play him. And Tyler Kolek has had a really good stretch. He had a good stretch in the NBA Cup semifinals and the finals with Deuce McBride being out. And he had a double-double last night. Listen, the Knicks are now becoming about the sum of their parts. And what that does for a guy like Jalen Brunson is it allows him now to pick his spots. Obviously, you know he was upset that hard foul by Nembhard on the sideline right before that when he had a foul to give. And he looked at Mike Brown and said, I'm sending us home with a game winner. Step back, Jay, right wing, game, set, match, Knicks win. Big game tonight with Philadelphia on a back-to-back where I think most of those guys will play tonight.
All right, so that's the lead-in to tonight's game. I'm glad you said that, JY, because I had no idea what the status would be for those games. By the way, we'll find out later today. But the Knicks are 5-point favorites against Philadelphia, total 229.5. I think it's fair to say, Coach, that the 76ers are starting to come on here a little bit in December. They look like a different team than they have. They're 14-11 on the season, and they'll be chasing a playoff berth, hopefully get themselves out of the final seed in the play-in. But as of right now, it is close. Do you see the 76ers being in this game tonight with New York, getting these 5 points at the Garden?
I'm going to lay the points with the Knicks tonight. We still don't know. Obviously, Kelly Oubre out. We don't know about Joel Embiid. It's going to probably be a questionable game time decision for tonight. That's not Kevin Walsh's show, but do make sure you turn in at 6:30 on SportsGrid to listen to K-Dub show. But I do think you look at this game, the Knicks 13-1 at home, 8-2 against the spread their last 10 games, playing really good basketball, should get everybody back. I know Paul George is in the lineup tonight, but I look for the Knicks to continue their home ways where they've been really good. Lay the points with the Knicks tonight.
Coach, the Miami Heat started off fantastic, playing some of the best offense in the NBA. That has come completely crashing down. They're struggling just to win games now at this point, and they're catching 6.5 tonight against Boston. The total is 231.5, where the Celtics, of course, have had their own injury issues this season, but seemingly fighting through that. The Heat has just had a lot of injuries lately, too. A bunch of players sitting. Do they get things going back in Boston tonight? Is this just a sort of mid-season slump for the Heat? Where do you stand with them?
I just wasn't a big believer in Heat before the season began, so I'm not really changing my thoughts on them overall as a team. So I would lay the points. with Boston. I would maybe look at Peyton Pritchard on his assist prop, and kind of get guys involved. He's kind of taking that role, obviously, with Drew Holiday being gone. So I'm not a big believer in Miami. I'm wondering at some point, where does Miami put some chips in the middle of the table? And when do they start to look to make a trade because of the way that they've been playing as of late? Pat Riley, at some point, has got to make a move to go get a guy. Maybe it's time.
Yeah, certainly their offense looked like it was going to be top in the league, and then it's come crashing down, so to speak. All right, a team that doesn't crash or burn at all. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Doesn't matter how many points they lay these days, Coach. They still win. They still cover the spread. They are laying 8 points tonight. I'm not sure what the status is of Anthony Edwards, who missed the Timberwolves last game. That's obviously going to be the key tonight. Total 230.5. Is this line telling us that Edwards is not playing in this game tonight? Because would OKC be this big a favorite if Ant-Man was in?
Maybe, because they're really that good of a team. To me, Craig, if I'm looking at anything, I'm looking at under 230.5. When you look at this matchup and you look at this game, you have 2 of the top 10 teams in effective field goal percentage defense. Oklahoma City's defense has been absolutely dynamic. If you look at both teams, they've been holding teams under that 233.5 number. So, yeah, I think this game goes under. Good game, competitive, but I think it's going to be low scoring. Minnesota will try to slow the game down and win it from there.
Happy holidays, Coach. Thanks for coming on Newswire. We'll catch up next week.
Thanks, Craig.
We'll come back next with some last licks. Another record-breaking sale on a sports card. We'll have that for you. And a NBA player who eats a steak with his hands. True. We'll have it for you next. Don't go.
I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like, I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got to.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going
I'm
to
saying
these
if I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me.
They smashed
I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's
They
amazing.
don't.
Well, somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
in this economy,
But they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Newswire here on SportsGrid. A couple of quick news and notes from sports that broke in the last hour while we've been live here on the show. First of all, Arch Manning, quarterback at the University of Texas, has agreed to take, I know it sounds crazy in college football and college sports, but it's true, an NIL pay cut to stay at Texas another season. So that opens up the door for the Longhorns to be able to bring in more players to the program. And also the Baltimore Orioles, in search of pitching this offseason, have acquired Shane Baz, great starting pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. In return, Baltimore gets several first-round picks formerly drafted by the Orioles and also a future draft pick as well. So big price to pay to get pitching. The Orioles do that with Tampa Bay and pay up to get Shane Baz. All right, as we will wrap up the show, someone paid up for a big Shohei Ohtani baseball card. There's a big fight this weekend here in South Florida. We'll break all that down for you and more as we wrap up this show with some last licks. Okay, Shohei Ohtani's most expensive baseball card was approximately $1 million. That is now changed by leaps and bounds. The 2025 Topps Chrome MVP Award Gold MLB logo, man, that's a lot of words. Shohei Ohtani patch card. Basically what it means is a Shohei Ohtani card. It's a 1 of 1. It has a patch and it's gold. Okay, there you go. 1 of 1. It's sold for $3 million, of course, with the buyer's premium via Fanatics, making it the most expensive public sale of a Shohei Ohtani card ever. I will say this. I've been involved with sports cards for a long time, paid close attention to everything that happens. It's rare that when I see something sold that I will say, well, probably fair. You really cannot go wrong. Again, no investment advice here in cards with Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he's arguably the greatest athlete in baseball of all time. So I just simply don't think that there's a wrong price to pay for somebody like this. Unless there's a scandal involved in this guy's life, we'll never have another player that ever played like him in Major League Baseball. So $3 million, yes, it's a lot of money, but I think you'll make some money on that as well. All right, Steven Adams plays for the Houston Rockets. This is a rare story involving food that we wanted to bring to the show. He was on a podcast recently and described his daily breakfast and massive eating routine during the appearance, some of which is sort of insane. For breakfast, Steven Adams has 6 eggs, which is a lot, but he also fries up a pound, folks, a pound of ground beef for breakfast. So Adams, with his routine, has a pound of ground beef and 6 eggs for breakfast. He usually has a steak at some point during the day, but says that in order to not burn his tongue, he chooses to make sure that he can eat the red-hot steak by eating it with his hands. Adams also went on to say that each and every night, he usually eats out at a restaurant, but that involves usually 3 different restaurants, going from restaurant to restaurant over a several-hour period and having 3 different meals. Now, Adams, of course, is 7 foot, and he's like 300 pounds, so some of this does make sense, but the diet that this guy is on has caused some of the players to not be as happy with some of the way that some of the food has smelled inside the locker room. And so I don't know where Adams is headed with all of this, but I would tell you that his post-playing career eating habits will not be what they are. But the guy's played, I think, probably close to 20 years in the NBA, so it does make a little sense. All right, so this is it. I think this is the first time where we're legitimately going to see Jake Paul lose a fight. Like, we've seen some controversy and some decisions, and he's fought Tyson, but they fight coming up this weekend here in South Florida, and it's tonight, and it's at the Kaseya Center, right, where the Heat play, and it's going to be against Anthony Joshua, who is a very legitimate heavyweight boxer. DraftKings is seeing a lot of money coming in on Jake Paul. He's plus 650. They tell the New York Post that if Paul upsets Joshua, it would be a $100 million loss for the sports book. You have to hope that the fight is legit anytime this sort of stuff happens. But Joshua is a far superior heavyweight fighter who is not like 75 years old. He should be beating Jake Paul in a fight tonight. It's on Netflix. You want to catch it. Hopefully the streaming is good on this one as well. All right, that'll do it for our week of shows. Thanks again to Bill Bender from Sporting News, Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report, John Lafayette from The Measure, Mike Blewett here from SportsGrid, and of course, James Young breaking down the NBA as well. You can download the SportsGrid app for the latest odds of the college football playoff, including Oklahoma and Alabama tonight and all the games tomorrow. That would also include 2 NFL games on Saturday, as well as the Sunday slate. So make sure you download the app. It's available for iOS and Android. You could scan that QR code right there for both of your phones. I'll be back at 3 o'clock Eastern for our next edition of Fantasy Sports Today. So off to get some lunch. Thanks again to Luke and Frank, and I'm Craig. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll see you back here for NewsWire.